One of the big stories to come out this past week was that on TikTok, by Osama bin Laden's Osama bin Laden's letter to America in 2002 has gone viral, with many people saying, "Wow, that proves it. I learned so much." The left is claiming that bin Laden was right. Seriously? Well, okay, we'll talk about it. But the first video I want to show you, because the actual subject I want to talk about is TikTok communists doing revolution meal prep. I am dying. You cannot make this up. It is so laughably insane and depressing. These people are so dumb and crazy. And how does it happen? Well, let's play the video first.
There is so much momentum right now for us to capitalize on to break down capitalism. And I wanted to talk about my view. So, hi, I'm Margot. I'm a nutrition professional, and I am looking into how are we going to feed each other and ourselves in order to sustain us through the long haul and make the most impact. So I want to work with other nutrition professionals and come
Victory
up with
Garden Plan and
some
Victory Food Plan.
ideas of how we can be utilized during this time, and come up with an outline of what do we eat during the revolution for people to get behind. If you're interested in doing that with me, let me know. Also, if that's something that you're interested in, having, let me know.
Okay, so let's ask ourselves this question. Why are TikTok communists thinking they could survive a revolution? I think it's funny. You know what's really funny? I made this really great point, really smart point coming from Tim Pool about our ability to survive based on cursory knowledge. That is, the fact that I have seen a thing increases my chance of survival. If you go back thousands of years and ask someone to smelt for you, they might be limited on what they could smelt or even know exists. How are they going to make you a toaster if they don't even understand any of the basic concepts? However, I, as a layman in the engineering space, have seen a toaster and have a general idea of what it does. There is an electrical current which heats up metal to a certain temperature, which then toasts the bread. That general understanding provides me a massive advantage. The fact that I have seen it done allows me to know what is possible and how to seek out ways to maybe do a thing. That's what I talk about. These TikTok communists don't even know where food comes from, and they're talking about how they're going to survive the revolution. Dude, I made a point that the fact that I know the basics of how you get iron means I, with just cursory knowledge, am substantially more advanced than the people before the Iron Age. It took thousands of years, tens of thousands, for humans to figure this stuff out. Then once we did and we shared that knowledge, it became ubiquitous. And now look at all the crazy stuff we've done with it. By controlling and manipulating energy, we have made crazy LED lights. We got lights here in the studio, cameras, all of the crazy stuff we built. Now, I'll tell you this, I can't build a computer. I can't build a TV. I got no idea how LED screens work. I have a general idea. A bunch of small light emitting diodes all simultaneously going off at the same time to create pictures. And I would have no idea where to even begin making something like that. I would have no idea where to even begin extracting plutonium and enriching it to the point where I could create a nuclear submarine. But there's some basic things I know. The importance of shelter, how to treat wounds. Man, if only during the Civil War they knew to just pour whiskey or pure methanol or something, or I should methanol, alcohol onto the wounds. Instead, they didn't know how to clean or disinfect. They didn't even know you should wash your hands. But we know these things now. These are advantages we have. This lady knows so little about reality. I'm sorry. They made fun of me and said, Tim Pool thinks he could smelt iron. I didn't say I think I could. I said I generally understood the concept. So it may take me several years to figure out how to make a sword or something. And it wouldn't be a good one. But way more than a human with no knowledge at all. And so here they are talking about nutrition planning for the revolution. Lady, you will starve to death so fast. I'm sorry. These people in these cities after their communist revolution will just be food. Scary, right? Yeah, they're going to eat each other. That's the reality. But how does it come to be? Well, of course, we're going to jump back to the old bin Laden story. I have this tweet from Kim.com. Quoting Glenn Greenwald. Let me throw some criticism their way. Kim.com says The Guardian deleted the letter to America by Osama bin Laden to stop people who are witnessing the injustice in Gaza from understanding why Muslims are fighting the U.S. and Israel. I think everyone has a right to read it. Here it is. Well, to be fair, Kim.com is correct. The Guardian did delete it. They should not have deleted it. And it does give you an understanding of why they're fighting. Fair point. Fair point. However, Glenn Greenwald goes on in greater detail. And I just got to say, I think Glenn is wrong. He says, ever since October 7th, we have been urging people to recall the lessons of 9/11. Bin Laden's letter blaming U.S. violence in their region, including U.S. support for Israel, went viral on TikTok. No, dude, the whole subject matter did of the letter. Glenn says, in the last 7 years, Western elites, he claims bin Laden expressed three main grievances: U.S. sanctions on Iraq that killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqis, U.S. support for Israeli violence, and U.S. troops on sacred Saudi land. Technically correct. My friends, I have for you the archive posted by Kim.com, the full text of bin Laden's letter to America. And no, those were not the grievances, Glenn. I just can't stand lying. So please spare me, dude. If you want to explain bin Laden's full view so that people can understand it, please do so. But it was not just the U.S. did bad things overseas. Certainly it is to a degree. But bin Laden was mad that we were blocking Sharia law. Now, when you get this cursory understanding of foreign affairs and whittle it down and give it to some TikTok moron who thinks they're going to do nutrition planning for the communist revolution, their brains shatter. They can't comprehend this. They are not smart people. They can be dangerous in large groups. Here we go. I think it's fair to say we agree. Okay, Glenn, when they say that because you attacked us, that's why did we attack you? Because you attacked us. He says, in Palestine, we get it. And if people haven't read this, I do recommend you read and understand why crazy people do crazy things. He talks about Palestine being conquered, and it's very, very, very much a lot about Palestine. But then he mentions Somalia and other things. Here you go. In his issue number 1, bin Laden says, you prevent our people from establishing the Islamic Sharia using violence and lies to do so. So to all these TikTok leftists who are calling for a communist revolution and think bin Laden's right, I welcome you to do away with your liberal, woke, progressive societal values and embrace Sharia. Fine. That would be hilarious to me. I love this. The removal of these governments is an obligation upon us, etc., etc. So we get that. He says you give them humiliation, and we understand this, that you've surrendered to the Jews and all of that, stealing their wealth, occupying countries. Hey, man. I agree with the war stuff. I think the Jews stuff is silly. A lot of people disagree. And the left has no idea what they're actually talking about. Why did they attack us? He says, the first thing we are calling you to is Islam, the religion of unification. Okay, if that's what you want to do, I guess. The holy book, the Quran, will remain preserved. This is a motivation he has. And I got no beef with Muslims if you believe this stuff. But the idea that we were attacked simply because of U.S. foreign policy is not correct. It is a component of, but the story is a much bigger picture. Let me tell you. Osama bin Laden says, we call you to be a people of manners, principles, honor, and purity, to reject the immoral acts of fornication, homosexuality, intoxicants, gambling, and trading with interest. That's the best part. Usury? Really? Okay, well, I'm not a big fan, I guess, but I'm not that angry about it. Yes, that was a large component. So how about this? How about you decide to agree, left? Spread the message. Have your nutritional post-revolutionary plans. He says, you're a nation who, rather than ruling by Sharia of Allah in its constitution and laws, make up your own, contradicting the pure nature, which affirms absolute authority of the Lord and your creator. You flee from embarrassing questions posed to you. How is it possible for Allah the Almighty to create his creation, grant them power over all the creatures and land, grant them all amenities of life, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. You are a nation that permits usury. All right. I'm sure this lady may actually agree with the questions and complaints about usury. Many people do. But I welcome this lady in her communist revolution. I'm not saying she's embraced bin Laden's letter, but it's going viral on TikTok. I implore all of these people, please, if you genuinely believe it's true, I would love to come to your meeting and ask you when you'll be implementing Sharia law. Oh, what's that? You won't be. What a wacky and silly world we live in. The reality is that TikTok is manipulating these really, really stupid people into doing dangerous things. I heard a very funny argument. It was from Mary Morgan. She's on Pop Culture Crisis, works here at Timcast. And she does not agree with universal literacy. And she said the reason is people don't understand what they're reading and then destroy these ideas. And so that only learned people who are truly capable of understanding should be allowed to read and understand. And I don't agree because I believe in decentralization. I believe people who are capable of learning should learn as much as they can. And if they can learn to read, they should. But I understand her point. When these TikTok communists are given a spattering of complex ideas, look, if you have a big block of cheese and you are trying to deliver said cheese to a man, but there is only but a small hole in the wall for which you could deliver this cheese, you smash it through, what happens? You get a square block of cheese and all the rest falls off onto the floor. Imagine that with this knowledge. When you present something like bin Laden's letter to America, which I think is absurd and silly and wrong, and you give it to these people who have but a tiny hole for which to absorb information, they can't. They get only this broken reasoning behind it. And it results in dangerous, violent humans doing stupid things and a crumbling in society. That being said, I welcome them all to read this, and I think people should. But I would love to have that debate. So for these people who are like, there's videos of these people saying like, wow, he was right the whole time. Oh, he was? You want Sharia law? Have fun. Okay. They clearly haven't read it and they're lying or they're not smart enough to get it. But in the meantime, please start preparing for your communist revolution. Your nutritional plans will be as laughable as the garden at the Ches Chop. Remember that? They tried to farm. How sad. Next segment will be tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.